that with the exhibition.
I have another question if that's possible.
Yeah.
Also the intervention on the British Airways, the feedback, I mean, did people actually notice that you put an intervention on the billboard?
What? Did people what?
Notice.
People who, like citizens,
Yeah.
Pristina.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, even though it was a very short time, so they stayed there for like 11 hours, but for me, it's always important to, not only, even when working with Station and with few young artists that have more challenging work, for me it's always important also to disseminate somehow the information about the work. And in this case, all the media were fed basically with the image of the intervention, so email. But only one medium, back then Java newspaper, published the image of the intervention. But even that was somehow planted. Shkadem Alici was working back then in Java, and he didn't tell Mijan Kelmendi what was this. He said, there's this image we have to put, and he said, yes. Because what happened after, British Airways called Java magazine, and were, you know, like, were very aggressively threatening and whatever. And then Mijan called me and said they are really pissed that this happened. As I was presenting works actually to René Bloch when he was in Pristina. So this happened during somehow that time, all the action. And like children also, when as we were like sticking the stickers in Sunny Hill, you know, even you could hear children, oh, there's no visa required, you know. But I mean, I didn't measure like how, but like from these talks around you, because there was their phone number also on the billboard, the phone number of British Airways, so a lot of people called, but I would not say how much or what or anything like that. It was very ephemeral, in a way, very short time that it was there, and more the story about it circulates than, you know, the actual work that could be there.
All right. I just wondered, did you ever have a conversation with the representatives of British Airways and say, you know, why do you put that up there when nobody here can go? Was there ever that conversation with you?
No, I mean, this was the... First they have a manager which is very aggressive, I have to say, and very unpolite, but but in this case, because it was, for me, I didn't understand what was the whole fuss about it. Like he's related to Mehmet Beluli, another artist, painter, professor here, and I was present when he called him on the phone to find out who am I. And after he hung up, he said, I never heard him like this, you know, like so upset. But you have to understand, this is a business, so he's a manager. If he makes a wrong campaign, if something like that happens, so he might lose his job. But of course, they didn't, and I was discussing this with René Bloch, he said he doesn't know what this is, you know. If British Airways in London like gets the information that this happened, they will just offer you money just not to show it, right? And not create this negative, you will never get a British visa and these sort of things. But I mean, it's somehow I always try to understand why this action was done and why it's done.
Okay. Your no visa required intervention was very powerful in a sense. How much did it affect the international opinion about festivals? Did they stop ignoring us? And
I mean, you know that better than I.
Did they continue to do this kind of nonsense?
You know that. I mean, it influenced the British Airways directly campaign. I mean, the work had direct influence in two things. First, British Airways hired B2 agency for marketing to do their campaigns. So a friend that I had during that time, Josa Berisha, this somehow started up her business, so this was good for her. And nothing beyond that, of course. I mean, after that, initially they started to to be a bit more careful, because you know how they select this. British Airways creates this campaign samples, right? So they don't design anything specific for any country, but you just have like a list of campaigns, and the manager says this one. So he just picked the wrong campaign. But in terms of changing, I mean, we talk a lot about like trying to change our image, trying to change how we are perceived, but this is a very tiny thing to change a lot, right? So I'm never that super optimistic saying that like an artwork can change the world, but even if few people had more time to think what their presence here means to us, that would be enough for me. I mean, not more than that.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about, I guess, a couple of questions. But the first one is about the Albanian thing and the change that you made to the name of a country. If you had troubles afterwards with any Albanian representative or not, and after changing it, you know, and how actually, I'm interested in how actually Albania performance was after that. If it's an annual event.
Not only Albania, but few countries which have more, let's say, sort of grip on culture in their own countries, use the Venice Biennial somehow to channel the artists that are in their pockets somehow, basically. So there was a case with Albania, but also with Croatia, where they ignore the selection of a curator, they fire a curator, they select another artist. So very problematic. Even if we have tomorrow a pavilion there, it will be very, very problematic how the whole process is managed. In terms of like my relationship with Albania, or what that influenced, somehow first thing is I was never invited to exhibit in Albania. But even before this project, you know, because they don't, and a lot of artists from this scene were also channeled through Albania, through, for instance, Edi Muka, the only functioning Albanian curator somehow. Two ways of channel. So one was still Belgrade, and the other was Tirana. But I don't think that this is the main reason. I think also the works that scene works with is the reason. So they don't work so much with, I mean, the only more challenging work, for instance, Andri Saja, the biggest today Albanian artist in contemporary art, the only challenging work that he did is his first work, Intervista. He did this work with his mother, trying to recapture the speech that she was giving during some meeting of the Communist Party there. But afterwards, the contemporary art scene doesn't favor so much artists or works that have sort of a political position clear, but it's always, they favor neutrality somehow, you know, and it's in that way. What was important is, for this project maybe, one of the curators, Andrite Pelena or something like that, he wrote a text for Coaditore, and he was trying to explain why they selected the Kosovar artist for the pavilion. Trying, but there was not, I mean, and also the wrong point of it was that they thought that I was trying to fix somehow wrong positioning of Sisli Jaffa as an Albanian, let's say, artist, which was totally not true, not the intention. The idea is that he has multiple identities. He was a good platform for making these questions more visible, the question of identity. But I don't see him like placed in this identity or that identity, so it was a bit more.
Another question. In terms of design, you're a designer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you designed your all the things you do by yourself, right?
Yes.
So did you use any specified typing design? And if yes, what purpose? I mean, if you have been distributing, it's time to go visiting, these are required down in red and in that type of design that is a purpose for this. And could you please, I mean,
This, for instance, this sticker was designed in CorelDRAW, very basic. Typeface is Gil Sans, the same typeface that British Airways uses. And for the purpose of the project being successful. So it's never designed for design, but designed for something.
Yeah, design for something, but I mean, if you have a certain purpose during your designing, your project designing, when you figure out when you were done with your project, like for possible people to not to see like the very first impact with that thing, with that image, these are required. Now it's time to go basically.
Yeah, yeah. No, but you could. I mean, it's very it's a question narrowing to something which was not. It's not important, but I mean, two elements that make that visible, of course, the different color of the sticker, right? But I mean, this is also, of course, while doing it, I was functioning also as a designer in terms of how do you design that intervention. So I didn't use spray or anything like that, but just trying to somehow improve the design of the billboard in terms of design. I don't know if I'm giving you what you're looking for. Yeah.
Okay, a question. I like the poster in Arabic. I think it was an excellent idea. If I would have seen it, I would not know what it was. Just a question, what was the joke about?
Yeah. So the joke, it goes like this. So it's a joke about Guha. Guha is this character, so he thinks that he's corn. Basically, and he's put in treatment, right? And after a few, let's say, months, he goes out of the treatment, and his wife goes and picks him up. And as they were walking, they noticed few chickens, and he stops, and his wife said, "Well, we have been through this. You're not corn, I know that, but do the chicken know that?" So this is the joke.
Okay, knowing all the difficulties and consequences that you had after doing this intervention, do you ever regret, or do you ever regret for doing it?
No, I mean, no. I passed through that before doing it, because I try to think in all, let's say, I mean, I can never predict what will happen, of course, but no regrets in that sense. I mean, these projects, for instance, even at the embassy done for the Tetini Biennial, what caused, for instance, it caused a sort of dismantling of a Balkan project, which was initiated by Kunsthalle Friedrichshain, which its main intention was to normalize this region somehow. You gather all the artists in one place. Somehow we try to tell our stories, but we are going through a process of normalization. And without having so much of a intention to be against that process, but just visibly saying something which exists, right? And it's not so much hidden under a different agenda, dismantled the project. And then, of course, not a lot of curators prefer to work with artists that have a sort of position. I mean, this, in terms of career, let's say, it's not, I would not recommend it so much, right, to be that. But in terms of making issues that for you are important to be discussed, right, and also for the society to be engaged more in it, and to create examples of what's the role of the artist in today's society, I find it essential. I mean, I cannot ignore the reality that is in front of me. And the majority of the art scene, not only here but internationally, finds a sort of comfortable position in ignoring the reality. And I don't know, I mean, it's complicated, I guess.
Any other questions? Know that many of you have to get to class, so I think two announcements and we'll...
Hello, nice to see you here. dear colleagues and guests, I would like to inform you that you can find 2 canvases on the campus. One is in the lobby, in the entrance, and the other one is in the cafeteria. On these canvases are a space where you can express your feelings, your emotions about diversity. So feel free to come there and draw or write a quote about it. So I will look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thoughts, right, about diversity. So maybe we'll come back to this to kind of think about how we place such issues, whether we think of them as emotive or kind of cerebral, and whether or not there is actually a politics to emotion. I think maybe that's something that we can revisit. Thank you so much, Edward. Thank you all for coming and for the questions.